Relationships can be messy sometimes. Every time we start new ones, we try to convince ourselves that this time it will be different. But will it though? The bonds we have early in life with our caregivers, which improve our ability to survive then, lay the foundation for the quality of our emotional health and future relationships. Because it is during our formative years we learn, or not, to recognize and manage our emotions and process our feelings. We create an attachment template for our emotional connections that guide our social interactions and informs us whether and how we are valued by other people. The success of a relationship doesn't depend solely on the other person or the ongoing circumstances. When we learn a new concept, we often feel tempted to apply it to others and expect them to accommodate us. But our attachments don't exist in a vacuum. They are naturally dynamic, and the only part we have total control over is our own. So in the following videos, we will analyze how our attachment styles shape the dynamic in our relationships, what triggers our core wounds, how we currently respond to them, and how can we create space to relate to others and ourselves in healthy ways. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Liz and we're sharing our emotional well-being series to strengthen your emotional health so you too can lead a more fulfilling life. If you want to know more about your personal attachment style, use the link in the description box below to find out more. Remember that this is an overview and not a personalized assessment of your behavior, so don't forget to grab that grain of salt and practice some discernment. And let's begin with the anxious preoccupied, aka anxious attachment style. As an anxious attached person, how do you behave in your relationships? In the intimate relationship domain, you may enjoy receiving gifts and spending quality time with your partner or important people in your life. You are less likely to express your affection through acts of service, as you may see them as catering to others, and instead are more prone to have physical touch as your love language. Likely you get infatuated by your new romantic partner, fantasizing about your relationship and setting up unrealistic expectations. Finding someone who can also enjoy that physical intimacy is the easy part. However, they will not always reciprocate emotionally, especially if they are on the avoidant attachment side of the spectrum, which only stirs feelings of extreme jealousy, unsatisfaction, and distrust. The underlying fear of rejection can lead you to use sex for approval, but resentment often builds up, and the end of a relationship frequently leaves you with a bitter taste that you can't really shake, decreasing the likelihood of you even remaining friends. The pattern to recognize here plays in the paradox of your fear of being rejected, which can happen quite often as you may jump from relationship to relationship, usually with unavailable partners, to satisfy your codependency, while your distrust makes you more prone to be unfaithful to your lover, perpetuating the cycle of new relationships, which further activates the fear of impending rejection. At work, you are hypersensitive to negative feedback because you also see it as a form of rejection. Therefore, you tend to go with the flow and do not really make many waves. You may enjoy working with others, but because you worry about being accepted and approved by your peers, you're highly critical of your shortcomings, never feeling like you're good enough. You're constantly seeking ways to improve yourself and your performance, making you more susceptible to imposter syndrome and burnout. As a leader, you strive to be better and you're very attuned to your team's needs. You can detect issues in the dynamics of the group, but you lack the emotional independence required to deal with conflict resolution. When you look at your relationships to identify what triggers your core wounds, there are a couple of things that stand out. People you care about behaving inconsistently, such as a partner coming home late without a warning, or a friend not messaging you back when anticipated. These situations may trigger separation anxiety. You tend to deploy emotional focus strategies such as becoming highly emotional and hypersensitive in your attempt to re-establish a connection with your loved one. usually in the form of an argument or getting overly dramatic to try to get their attention. You also get triggered when people you care about seem detached, failing to do or notice something new, like a new haircut, not getting as excited as you are about something, or forgetting important events, such as your birthday or anniversary. These unhealthy mechanisms of regulating your emotions and processing your feelings may activate your flight or fawn trauma responses and cause outbursts of anger and jealousy, the need for excessive complaining, blame, or catastrophic thinking to detract you from taking personal responsibility for how you feel. This means that to even begin to develop healthy habits that will heal your anxious attachment, you need to start by acknowledging your role in the relationship dynamics. Take accountability. You may invest in all kinds of clickbait relationship strategy programs and advice to fix your partner, treat therapy as a friendly hangout, or distract yourself with food, entertainment, or endless to-do lists, instead of focusing on yourself. Others may help you gain clarity about how you feel, but processing those feelings is a very personal experience that only you are responsible for. No one can do it for you because no one else is you. No one can tell you what stories you have been playing in the background to justify the emotions you feel. No one can experience what you experienced the way you experienced it. But we can help you expand your perspective, and for that, we suggest watching our videos on understanding your emotions and how to process your feelings in healthy ways. Don't worry, we'll leave all the links in the description box below. Be present. Before you can self-regulate your emotions, you need to understand why you feel and act the way you do. Mindfulness can help you to be present with yourself, stay in the moment, and slow your mind down. Notice the automatic patterns, usually in the form of unpleasant thoughts. Give attention to how they feel in your body and where you feel them. Reframe the meaning you keep reinforcing your experiences with, often through self-criticism, and instead ask yourself, what do you need? What do you want? To explore more on this topic, you can check our mindfulness playlist. Once you accept the part you play in the dynamics of the relationship and understand what type of part that was, the next step is to communicate it. So, communicate your needs. Not everyone has the ability to help you discern your emotions and process your feelings. I'm talking to you, dismissive avoidant. Even if they do, sometimes your partner or friend may not be in a mental space where they have the emotional range to sustain listening to your struggles. So always ask for their consent before unloading. This can be as simple as, I'm having a hard time dealing with the situation or feeling. Would you be willing to listen to me for a moment? Now, this request does 3 things for you. It helps you unravel the narrative you have associated with the strong emotions so you can then process the feelings you have associated with them. It reinforces your boundaries, so instead of resorting to complaining to get someone else's attention, you simply express your needs to vent to reorganize your thoughts. And finally, it helps you to develop a worry time frame, so you don't overwhelm your listener. This simple request is also beneficial to the one who is listening. Since you are codependent on others, this dialogue further assists you in managing your own emotional distress. It allows your avoidant attached loved one the opportunity to practice compassion by holding space for you. If they become aloof, you know to change the subject back to a more superficial or less emotionally charged conversation. It gives your anxious attached loved one the experience of feeling needed and valued just by being present. And if they interrupt you to start talking about them, you can calmly take a mental step back and shift your focus to their needs for a moment. And it also gives your disorganized attached loved one the cue to put their fixer mindset aside and just listen to you venting. If you notice them drifting, take that as a cue you might be taking too much of their attention span. Set boundaries. As a hypersensitive person, you may have evolved your empathetic skills, making you more in tune with other people's emotions and feelings. However, it would be best if you took some time in isolation to figure out your emotional landscape. Learning to gradually sandbox your inner experiences will help you identify what belongs to you and what doesn't, especially in social settings. Be mindful of your tendency to take your need to be seen to the extreme, where you talk about what bothers you but don't do anything about it. This attitude of complaint may cause you to lose friends or partners who become frustrated by their inability to help. The same can be said about using blame or guilt during an argument to get what you want, or getting angry in the face of what you perceived as danger. These are all maladaptive strategies that are warning you of your emotional distress. Bottling your anger for fear of rejection is not a healthy regulating strategy either, because it will activate self-criticism, sadness, and resentment towards others. This is what brings up the stories about "I am not good enough," "I am not worthy of love, care, and respect," or "I am not safe to be myself." If you know how anger feels in your body and what thoughts are activated, you can communicate what you're experiencing in a calm manner, such as, "I'm starting to feel upset because I'm interpreting this situation as," and then describe it. "This is really bothering me, and I need to take a step back to process how I'm feeling. I feel hurt. I know you probably didn't mean to do or say that, but I'm worried about our relationship because I see that behavior as. I feel uneasy every time you say or act a certain way. It would be helpful for me if you would," and then express your needs. "Do you think that is something we can work on?" It's important that you don't threaten our relationship in an argument. I want us to prioritize emotional safety. No. Understand that these scripts may work with a partner that is securely attached and even disorganized, especially if they are working on improving their attachment style, but not so much on an avoidant attached partner, as this may activate their fear of being too close to a person. So just make sure that they are also working on improving the quality of their emotional bonds. Without boundaries, you will often feel anxious, resentful, and disappointed. When left unchecked, those feelings will make you more susceptible to enmeshed relationships, where you struggle to differentiate between your needs and the needs of others. People with healthy boundaries have a stronger sense of self because they know what their feelings, their needs, their values, and limits are. Many times in life, people aren't trying to violate our boundaries, they're just not aware of them. So if you know what triggers you and where your limits are, you're better equipped to use that self-knowledge to affirm how you want or need to be treated. Nurture your self-esteem. All of these healthy habits boil down to an inverted formula of the golden rule. Treat yourself like you would want others to treat you. Since you only received the attention that you needed as a child when you were acting up, hurting yourself or others, this can lead you to develop false values and even damaging behavioral patterns in adulthood, such as self-harm, rumination, self-blame, getting caught up in toxic relationships, or being unable to be in any relationship because you're either constantly doubting your worth, or you are afraid or rebelling against fulfilling anyone else's needs before your own once again. If you're looking for support, what does that look to you? The way in which you allow yourself to feel loved is a good indicator of how you can begin loving yourself. Do you enjoy when someone you care about makes you dinner? Then take time to prepare yourself a good, nourishing meal. Do you like being praised for doing something well? Then speak kindly to yourself first. Fancy being taken on vacation to new places? Pack your bags and take yourself eat, pray, love style. Perhaps you prefer spending time talking to a friend. In that case, use journal prompts and write out your thoughts. Whatever you're looking for someone else to give you, give it to yourself first. In time, these acts of unconditional love will build resilience and self-confidence, increasing your self-esteem. Stay tuned for the next video where we will explore the other side of the insecure spectrum through the lens of the dismissive avoidant attachment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you there.